1975, a very eventful year for me. By the spring of 75, I just wanted out of school. I was 18 years old. I was having a good time, but I was looking forward to traveling with my friend, Chris Feeney, my road dog. Back then, I didn't own a car until I was 19 years old. That was 1976. So to get around other people's cars, my dad's car, hitchhiking, and my bicycle. But I did a lot of hitchhiking, and my road dog, my partner, Chris Feeney, and I would go back and forth to LA from Las Vegas. And that's where I graduated high school. I did not go to graduation. Listening to a lot of music, local bands, playing guitar. I went and grabbed my diploma. We went to LA. We came back to Vegas. Went back to LA again, hitchhiked up the Coast Highway, Highway 1 and 101, with our final destination to be Lake Tahoe, North Shore, and with designs to camp out on the east shore, the beautiful east shore of the Nevada side of Lake Tahoe, Hidden Beach, Whale Beach, Secret Harbor, all that, and we did that. I had my guitar with me. Chris had his dog. We had our backpacks. We lived out of our packs on the East Shore, played guitar. He played harmonica, good harp player, had a great time. And by about August, we decided to tackle the Tahoe Yosemite Trail, which starts at Meeks Bay on the west shore of Lake Tahoe, 180 miles all the way to Yosemite. We made it 50 miles only. His knee was blown up, swollen, and my heels were just torn up from my hiking boots. So we rested, went back to East Shore, and in the fall, we finally moved into Kings Beach in a little house on Fox and Trout. Those are streets. They're all by fish and animals. Animals this way and fish this way in Kings Beach, North Shore, Lake Tahoe. And a great radio station, by the way, at North Lake Tahoe, KSML, K-Smell, if you can guess what that stands for. And back then, you know, a lot of my music, a lot of this great music from 1975, and I'm going to show you the records. I'm going to rank these 15 of my favorite records from 1975. But in the mid-70s and the early 70s, FM radio, the underground stations were so good. That's where you got a lot of your, that's where you got your music. There was just an immense amount of good music on these radio stations. So I'm going to get started. I want to do some honorable mentions of, now there are hundreds of albums. You know, I looked this up and I just can't believe what a great year 1975 was for records, and still is. Because you listen to these, we listen to these records, and I want to mention several records. First of all, Guy Clark, Old Number One, and back here, guys, that Jerry Jeff self-titled album, he does Old Time Feelin', L.A. Freeway, and that's where was my gateway to Guy Clark music. I don't have this album, Guy Clark, Old Number One. I'd love to get it. You know, AC/DC's, their TNT album that was released in 75. Jeff Beck, Blow by Blow. And yes, Deep Purple, Come Taste the Band was released in 75 with Glenn Hughes and Tommy Bolin being part of the band. I didn't listen to that back then, but now I really dig it. David Coverdale, he lives here in town in Reno. And what else? Gil Scott-Heron. Had, with Brian Jackson, had From South Africa to South Carolina. And of course, Queen's Night at the Opera. Dr. Feelgood had Malpractice. Now, I didn't get into Dr. Feelgood until much later. I'd say about 20 years ago, and now I love it. Nils Lofgren had his great debut. Armageddon, guys, with Bobby Caldwell on drums and Keith Relf. Great hard rock album. I have that one. And hey, Yacht Rock, Ambrosia's first album is way different than anything they did after that first debut. Amazing album. Kansas, Mask, listen to that a lot, an awful lot. I believe there were 2 Kansas albums released in 1975. Fela Kuti and Africa 70. expensive shit. I want that album. Now, I didn't know anything about Fela Kuti back then. I do now. And Steely Dan's great Katie Lied was released in 75. Another great album that I'll, for honorable mentions, Toots and the Maytals' Funky Kingston, and Aerosmith's Toys in the Attic, and Parliament and Funkadelic both had releases in 75. I like all of this music, and I like all of the music. I'm sure you're going to have other albums you're going to tell me about to suggest from 1975, and I'm sure I'm going to like them. I pored over the list of hundreds of albums from 75. I was just blown away. But I'm going to get started. Now I'm going to rank these. I picked 15. Now these are just albums that I love, that I really listen to. Some that I listened to back then that I knew right away of in 1975. And some that I've discovered later. Anyhow, here's an album, very famous band, but their debut and their second album, Look Into the Future, is just so way different. You could say they're a super group out of San Francisco, and this is the debut, Journey. Neil Schon, Greg Raleigh with a deep baritone into tenor vocals from the Santana Band. This is just an excellent, excellent album. So I'll rank this at number 15. And here's an album that I heard on release in 75 and into 1976. And I liked it. My girlfriends were into this album, and now I just so appreciate it. And that's The Hissing of Summer Lawns, Joni Mitchell. So at 14, I will position this great record at number 14. Now, a band that I was not aware of in 1975, and that is the band out of Cardiff in Wales, and that's Budgie. And this is Bandolier, and this is just so, so good. And this is where they picked up Steve Williams on drums. This is his debut with the band on for Budgie. So at number 12, I love just about everything from this artist, one of my favorite artists of all time. And this is Young Americans, released in 1975. David Bowie. Love this album. Although I got to say, when Aladdin Sane was released, I was just so into Hunky Dory, The Man Who Sold the World, and Ziggy Stardust that I just, that was enough for me, those three records. But I did love this album. Of course, the radio play with Young Americans, great album. Love this one. And in the 11th spot, Brian Eno, Another Green World. Now, I really didn't get into Roxy music, or even I wasn't aware of them until about 1976 and 7. And I was like, oh, this is just really terrific. And I certainly didn't know about this record. But much later, I'd say about 15 years ago, I discovered this record. Just absolutely wonderful. And in my number 10 spot for favorite albums of 1975, personal favorites, you might have others, is Blues for Allah. And this one, in the fall of 75, we heard this on the radio, Help on the Way. The Music Never Stopped, the Weir Barlow pen tune. Excellent, excellent album. Love it. And in the number 9 spot, I have one of my favorite groups of all time, and that's the band. And this is Northern Lights and Southern Cross. I mean, we have Acadian Driftwood, Ophelia, It Makes No Difference, Forbidden Fruit, Jupiter Hollow, Ring Your Bell. Love this record. If you haven't listened to this in a while, please do. Just superb. And then in my number 8 position for 1975, here's a record that I just wasn't into on release at all. I mean, the songs were on the radio, and I was so into the West Coast stylings of Elton John. And this is Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy. Yeah. So this one, this has really grown on me. I just did that Elton John ranking, and really, I could rank this easily at about my 5th favorite Elton John record. It's just that, Tumbleweed, Honky Chateau, Madman, they got to be 1, 2, and 3, and Yellow Brick Road. This would be number 5. But I really love this album. This is just an amazing listen, inspired, fantastic record. And then in the 7th spot, this album is just a monster. Houses of the Holy I love, but Physical Graffiti, I mean, it is just balls out intense. Love this record. And I didn't buy it until 1978. This is my original. The songs were on the radio. Kashmir was my first favorite. Oh, no, several songs on that album. Just a wonderful, wonderful record. And in my number 6 spot, it's Bob Marley and the Wailers Live. Now, in 75, I wasn't aware that this was released. Oh, no, wait a second. I Shot the Sheriff was on the radio, and Eric Clapton had an awful lot to do with promoting this song of Bob Marley's. And I just absolutely love this album. And I believe that I started listening to this record in 77, 78. And in the 5 spot, this album is so influential, absolutely, along with the Dictators, too. I mean, Dictators from New York City, very proto-punk, influential, but Patti Smith, Horses, come on, the Gloria is just killer. When I heard this, I was just blown away, just absolutely. So I have to rank this very, very high, and most lists do. And, you know, a lot of my top 5 rankings are similar to what are considered the best albums of 1975. So at the 4 spot, which many would have this as the first, but this is number 4 for me, that's Born to Run, Bruce Springsteen. And the thing about this album, we absolutely loved the first 2 albums, The Wild, The Innocent, The East Street Shuffle. I love that album and the debut. But when this came out, this was such a monster, and you got to hand it to Bruce because he worked so hard to get this just perfect. It's a masterpiece. But I do love the first 2 albums a great deal, and this one as well. Born to Run, baby. Now, there was a little album called On the Beach, Neil Young. Love that album. But in 1975, Neil released 2. So I'm showing them together. Tonight's the Night and Zuma, both. I mean, I could just listen to these back and back. I love these Neil Young albums. So fantastic. On Tonight's the Night, Albuquerque is just killer. And, you know, my early favorite for Zuma is, of course, Cortez the Killer. And in my number 2 spot, here's an album that I spun and listened to all morning long. And I actually did a shootout with my US copy and the Bernie Grunman remaster. James Guthrie took part in that as well. And that's Wish You Were Here. And this is an album that I listened to, I'm sure, more than any other album in 1975 on vinyl. Here's my US copy. I spun this. This sounds very, very good. It really does. I'd love to have the UK Harvest. I really would. But this reissue just sounds just amazing. Just terrific, really. And such horrible packaging. Look at this. It falls apart. It takes forever to get to the vinyl. I'll probably change that up. But yeah, I bought this new, maybe 2 years ago. And guys, my number 1, it's got to be Bob Dylan's Blood on the Tracks for 1975. And in 75, I wasn't listening to this right away. Again, I was traveling a lot. I was backpacking. I had my my Martin D28 copy, my Ventura guitar, and, you know, playing a lot of guitar, a lot of music, and listening to the radio. But that's it. 75 was just, you know, it's just great memories. I'm really pleased to be my age that I am. You know, I'm getting old. None of us are getting any younger. Hey guys, and I'll see you on the next video next week. Thanks for watching.